Hello and welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha TV. I am Tina Jha. So Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented the Union Budget 2021-22 in Parliament today. Coming amidst the pandemic, the budget was an all-important one this time. There were quite a first as well for the budget this year, in terms of it being the first digital budget, as well as the Finance Minister reading out her 110-minute speech from a tablet this time around. So we'll look at all these aspects and, more importantly, the key takeaways from the Union Budget on News Tonight. Let's begin with the headlines. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's Union Budget for 2021-22 focuses on economic revival after coronavirus pandemic, says government fully prepared to facilitate a reset of the economy. Union Budget outlines 6 pillars of the economy. Finance Minister lays stress on health and well-being, physical and financial capital and infrastructure, inclusive development for aspirational India, and reinvigorating human capital. Government doubles healthcare spending, 35,000 crore rupees set aside for spending on COVID vaccines. In huge push for infrastructure, projects announced in many states including Bengal, Assam and Tamil Nadu. FDI increased in insurance sector from 49% to 74%. Foreign ownership and control with safeguards to be allowed. Senior citizens with only one pension and interest scheme exempted from filing income tax returns. Union Budget 2021 enhances India's self-confidence. Prime Minister Modi asserts that village and farmer are at the heart of this budget. Focus on helping farmers increase their incomes. Amid the COVID-19 pandemic, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman increased the health budget by 137% this year. For a holistic approach to health, the budget focused on strengthening 3 areas: preventive, curative and well-being. The Finance Minister began her budget speech by acknowledging the frontline workers.
I want to take a moment to acknowledge how isolating and distancing seemed like insurmountable challenges for a country like ours that has people coming together in times of crisis. It hurts us in many ways. It hurt us in many ways. I bow my head in respect to every citizen for the endurance shown in facing what was an undeniably a tough year for all our physical and mental well-being.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman started her budget speech by thanking frontline workers. With the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic reaching a decisive phase, the Finance Minister positioned health as one of the 6 crucial pillars of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Calling health and well-being the topmost priority of the government, Sitharaman proposed a budget outlay of 2,23,846 crore rupees for health, which marks an increase of 137% over the current fiscal. In addition to the National Health Mission, Sitharaman announced the Prime Minister Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana with an outlay of about 64,180 crore rupees over 6 years. The scheme will develop capacities of primary, secondary and tertiary care health systems, strengthen current institutions and create new ones. The main interventions include support for 17,788 rural and 11,024 urban health centers and setting up integrated public health labs in all districts. The finance minister also proposed 35,000 crore rupees outlay for COVID-19 vaccines for the next fiscal and announced the rollout of pneumococcal vaccines across the country to prevent over 50,000 deaths annually.
The pneumococcal vaccine, a made-in-India product, is presently limited to only 5 states. It will be rolled out across the country. This will avert more than 50,000 child deaths annually.
The finance minister also asserted that the government is committed to providing more funds to contain the coronavirus pandemic in the country. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
The finance minister announced higher capital expenditure for the financial year 2021-22 and also focused on providing a major boost to infrastructure. In her budget speech, Nirmala Sitharaman mentioned that this year's budget focused on 6 pillars. One among them is physical and financial capital and infrastructure. Here's a report.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Monday announced a massive boost in infrastructure spending in roads, highways, railways, ports and power. She said that to make the nation a $5 trillion economy, the government has committed nearly 1.97 lakh crore over 5 years. The initiative is expected to bring scale and size in key sectors, create and nurture global champions and provide jobs to our youth. Dwelling on infrastructure, Sitharaman said National Infrastructure Pipeline announced in December 2019 with 6,835 projects has now expanded to 7,400 projects. She said projects worth 1.1 lakh crore rupees have been completed under the National Infra Pipeline. She added that the government will introduce a bill to set up Development Finance Institution, providing 20,000 crore rupees to launch the National Asset Monetization Pipeline to fund new infra projects. DFI will act as a provider, enabler and catalyst for infrastructure financing.
The NIP is a specific target which this government is committed to achieving over the coming years. It will require a major increase in funding from both the government and the financial sector. In this budget, I propose to take concrete steps to do this in 3 ways. Firstly, by creating the institutional structures. Secondly, by a big thrust on monetizing assets. And thirdly, by enhancing the share of capital expenditure in central and state budgets.
Similarly, to enable the textile industry to become globally competitive, mega investment textiles parks will be launched in addition to the production-linked incentive scheme to create world-class infrastructure in exports. 7 textile parks will be established over 3 years. The finance minister announced a sharp increase of 34.5% in capital expenditure as compared to previous budget estimates, resulting in allocation of 5.54 lakh crore rupees. Over and above this, over 2 lakh crore will be provided to states and autonomous bodies for their capital expenditure. Finance Minister further announced that over 13,000 kilometers of roads at a cost of 3.3 lakh crore rupees have already been awarded under the 5.35 lakh crore rupees Bharatmala Pariyojana project, of which 3,800 kilometers have been constructed. By March 2022, government will award 8,500 kilometers and complete an additional 11,000 kilometers of national highway corridors.
To further augment road infrastructure, more economic corridors are also being planned. Some are 3,500 kilometers of national highway works in the state of Tamil Nadu. Second, 1,100 kilometers of national highway works in the state of Kerala. Third, 675 kilometers of highway works in the state of West Bengal at a cost of 25,000 crores.
In a first, Sitharaman announced a record allocation of 1,10,055 crore rupees for Indian Railways. Besides this, major ports will move from managing operational services on their own to a model where a private partner will operate it from them. For the purpose, 7 projects worth more than 2,000 crore rupees will be offered by the major ports on the public-private partnership mode in 2021-22. The government also proposed to increase foreign direct investment limit in the insurance sector to 74% to attract overseas players. Siddharaman announced that 2 public sector banks and a general insurance company are expected to be disinvested this year. This will be in addition to the disinvestment of the IDBI Bank. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And allow also
Inclusive development for an aspirational India formed another key pillar of the union budget this year. Now, under this, the government aims to cover agriculture and allied sectors, farmers' welfare and rural India, migrant workers and labour, and also financial inclusion. Here's a report that talks about the measures aimed at bringing about inclusive development.
In the Union Budget 2021-22, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced several measures to support the agriculture sector. Stressing the government's commitment to the welfare of farmers, Sitharaman announced that MSP will stay at minimum 1.5 times the cost of production across all commodities. The procurement has also increased, resulting in increased payment to farmers. For wheat, the total amount to be paid to farmers has been increased to rupees 75,060 crore in 2020-21 as compared to rupees 62,802 crore in 2019-20. For rice, the amount has been increased from rupees 1,41,930 crores in 2019-20 to rupees 1,72,752 crores in 2020-21. Similarly, farmers growing paddy, pulses, cotton, among others, will also benefit under the inclusive development pillar.
in the case of pulses, the amount paid in 2013-14 was 236 crores. In 2019-20, this was increased to 8,285 crores. Now in 2021, it is at 10,530 crores. More than 40 times increase from 2013-14.
The government also announced extension of Swamitwa scheme to all states, union territories during FY 21-22. Under the scheme, a record of rights is being given to property owners in villages. 1,80,000 property owners in 1,241 villages have already been provided cards. Agriculture credit target has been enhanced to rupees 16.5 lakh crore in the Union Budget 21-22 to provide adequate credit to farmers. The focus areas will be animal husbandry, dairy and fisheries. Rural Infrastructure Development Fund is being enhanced to rupees 40,000 crore from rupees 30,000 crore. The Micro Irrigation Fund, which was created with a corpus of rupees 5,000 crore under NABARD, has been doubled to rupees 10,000 crore. Operation Green Scheme is being extended to 22 perishable products. To bring transparency and competitiveness in the agriculture market, 1,000 more mandis are being integrated with eNAM. APMCs will get access to the agriculture infrastructure funds for augmenting infrastructure facilities. For fisheries, investment to develop modern fishing harbors and fish landing centers has been proposed. 5 major fishing harbors, Kochi, Chennai, Visakhapatnam, Paradeep, and Petua Ghat will be developed as hubs of economic activity. Multi-purpose seaweed park in Tamil Nadu will also be developed to promote seaweed cultivation. The Finance Minister said that the government launched One Nation, One Ration Card scheme specially to benefit migrant workers. Scheme implementation has covered 86% of beneficiaries across 32 states and UTs so far. The remaining 4 states and UTs will be integrated in the next few months.
We will conclude a process that began 20 years ago with the implementation of the 4 labor codes. For the first time globally, social security benefits will be extended to gig and platform workers. Minimum wages will apply to all categories of workers, and they will all be covered by the Employees State Insurance Corporation. Women will be allowed to work in all categories and also in the night shifts with adequate protection.
To further facilitate credit flow under Stand Up India scheme for SCs, STs and women, the margin money requirement has been reduced to 15% from 25%. It will also include loans for allied agriculture activities. Several steps to support the MSME sector has also been taken in the budget this year. Rupees 15,700 crore has been allocated to the sector, more than double of previous year. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
The fourth pillar of the union budget this year is reinvigorating human capital, under which the following proposals were announced. More than 15,000 schools will be qualitatively strengthened to include all components of the national education policy. A total of 100 new Sainik schools will also be set up in partnership with NGOs, private schools as well as states. For accessible higher education in Ladakh, the Finance Minister has proposed to set up a central university in Leh. The Government of India will also create a formal umbrella structure for higher education institutes in 9 cities. The government has also set a target of establishing 750 Eklavya model residential schools in tribal areas of the country and has also increased unit cost of each school. The Finance Minister also announced that there will be a collaborative training and inter-training program between India and Japan to facilitate the transfer of Japanese vocational and industrial skills, techniques as well as knowledge.
Higher education. In Budget 2019-20, I had mentioned about the setting up of a higher education commission in India. We would be introducing the legislation this year to implement the same. It will be an umbrella body having 4 separate vehicles for standard setting, accreditation, regulation, and funding. Many of our cities have various institutions, universities, and colleges supported by the Government of India. Hyderabad, for example, has about 40 major institutions. In 9 such cities, we will create a formal umbrella structure so that these institutions can have better synergy while also retaining their internal autonomy. A glue grant will be set aside for this purpose. For accessible higher education in Ladakh, I propose to set up a central university in Leh. The national education policy announced recently has had good reception. In school education, more than 15,000 schools will be qualitatively strengthened to include all components of the national education policy. They shall emerge as exemplar schools in their regions, hand-holding and mentoring other schools to achieve the ideals of policy. 100 new Sainik schools will be set up in partnership with NGOs, private schools, and states.
Innovation and research and development was the 5th pillar in the Finance Minister's budget proposals for 2021-22. Nirmala Sitharaman announced 50,000 crore rupees for the National Research Foundation for a period of 5 years. This is intended to strengthen the overall research ecosystem of the country with a focus on identified national priority thrust areas. The Finance Minister also earmarked 1,500 crore rupees for financial incentive to promote digital modes of payment. She further announced a new initiative, National Language Translation Mission, to translate governance and policy-related documents available online into major Indian languages. Also, as part of the Gaganyaan mission activities, 4 Indian astronauts are being trained on generic space flight aspects in Russia. The first unmanned launch is slated for December this year. The Finance Minister also announced a deep ocean mission with an outlay of 4,000 crore rupees over the next 5 years. And in some other major announcements, the finance minister allocated 3,726 crore rupees for the forthcoming census, which will be the first digital census in the country. A deep ocean mission with an outlay of more than 4,000 crore rupees over 5 years. The government has also proposed to set up a conciliatory mechanism for quick resolution of contractual disputes. And further, the government also proposed to introduce National Nursing and Midwifery Commission Bill. The finance minister did not make any changes in the income tax slabs this year, but announced the scrapping of income tax for senior citizens under certain conditions. Senior citizens above 75 years of age with only pension and interest income would no longer have to file income tax returns. The budget proposed to provide relief from double taxation for the NRIs on accrued retirement money and also for claiming relief on tax deducted in India. Sitharaman announced that tax audit limit has been increased from 5 crore rupees to 10 crore rupees. Additional deduction of 1.5 lakh rupees for loans for affordable houses taken till 31st of March 2022. Startups will get an extension in their tax holiday for an additional year. An increase in limit for tax audit for persons who carry out 95% of their transactions digitally. Prime Minister Modi hailed the union budget, saying it has the vision of making India self-reliant. He also said the budget has been presented in extraordinary circumstances and therefore has a sense of reality as well as a confidence of development in it. Listen in.
वर्ष 2021 का बजट असाधारण परिस्थितियों के बीच पेश किया गया है। इसमें यथार्थ का एहसास भी और विकास का विश्वास भी है। कोरोना ने दुनिया में जो प्रभाव पैदा किया, उसने पूरी मानव जाति को हिलाकर रख दिया है। इन परिस्थितियों के बीच आज का बजट भारत के आत्मविश्वास को उजागर करने वाला है।
The Prime Minister asserted that the union budget addresses all sections of the society while keeping farmers and villages at its heart.
हम इस बजट में जिन सिद्धांतों को लेकर चले हैं, वो हैं ग्रोथ के लिए नए अवसरों, नई संभावनाओं का विस्तार करना, युवाओं के लिए नए अवसरों का निर्माण करना, मानव संसाधन को एक नया आयाम देना, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर निर्माण के लिए नए नए क्षेत्रों को विकसित करना, आधुनिकता की तरफ आगे बढ़ना, नए सुधार लाना। साथियों, नियमों और प्रक्रियाओं को सरल बनाकर आम लोगों के जीवन में ईज ऑफ लिविंग को बढ़ाने पर इस बजट में जोर दिया गया है।
And in some other news now, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Monday called for a model of development that preserves the special identity of the tribals. After the inauguration of the National Tribal Festival Adi Mahotsav at Dilli Haat in New Delhi, the Vice President said that any loss of tribal culture would be an irreparable loss to humanity. The Vice President also emphasized the need to promote and popularize tribal products to improve their sources of income.
अधिकारीगण, मैं सचमुच में बहुत आनंद महसूस कर रहा हूँ। आज शाम को यहाँ आके आदि महोत्सव का इस कार्यक्रम का उद्घाटन करना मेरा मन में भी बहुत प्रसन्नता है, क्योंकि आदिवासी मूल निवासी है। हमारा परंपरा, हमारा संस्कृति, हमारा आदिकाल से, वेद काल से, पुराण काल से हमारा पूर्वजों ने जो जिया और दिया, उसी परंपरा को अभी भी कायम रखने वाले लोग हमारा आदिवासी जनजाति समुदाय है।
So that's it from us in this bulletin. Thank you for your time.